Hello students, welcome to the online session of Database Management System. The contents of today's session are database users, functions of database administrator, data models, study of hierarchical network and relational data model key concepts, and course 12 rules of relational database management system. The learning objectives of today's session are: after learning this session, students will be able to identify the roles of different database users, state the functions of DBM. Students will be able to describe different data models in DBMS. Students will be able to describe relational model with its key concepts and explain 12 core rules which are applicable for relational database management system. So let's start with the database users. Database users are categorized into different categories, and they are categorized on the basis of how user interact with the database system. On the basis of their database interaction, they are categorized into different categories. So first category of database user is naive user or end users. Naive users are also called as unsophisticated user because they don't have any knowledge of database management system. They just want to use database system. Okay, means whenever we access any application, whenever we access any website, then we don't need to have the knowledge of their implementation details. We don't need to have the knowledge of how that app, how that website is developed. So we are the end users in that case. Whenever we access any application or whenever we access any website or any software, so these are the end users who don't have any knowledge of database management system, but they just use database application in their daily life for their requirement. So they are end users. The next type of database user category is sophisticated user, or they can be called as analyst also. So these sophisticated users are nothing but the database application developers who develop database application for their own use. So under this sophisticated user category, we can have engineers, scientists, business analysts who are having the entire knowledge of database system. And these users build database system for their own requirement, but they don't use application program, means they don't use high level languages application program to create a database system. In fact, they interact with the database system by using any of the query languages, for example SQL, MySQL or PostgreSQL. Using these query languages, they interact and they create their own database application. That's why they are called as analyst, engineer or scientist. Okay, so the third type of database user is application programmer. Now application programmers are the programmers who create application program by using high level languages, and by using this application program, users can communicate with the database system. And to communicate with database system, we sometimes we need to use data manipulation language queries or data manipulation language commands. These queries can be embedded, can be included into the application program. Means these application programmers have knowledge of high level language as well as the knowledge of DML queries or the SQL queries also. They use those SQL queries, they can include those SQL queries into high level language program to write application program or to write any software to interact with the database system. So they are application programmers. The next type of database user is database administrator. Now DBA is what? It is a person or it may be a team who is responsible to control or to manage the database system. Whatever controlling or whatever management of database system there, all those responsibilities are carried out through this database administrator, and the performance of any database system is dependent on the performance of database administrator. If database administrator does his job very efficiently, then that database system will be and efficient will be a good database system, and it will be a user friendly database system. So these are the categories of database users: naive users, unsophisticated user, then application programmers, and database administrators. Now, when we say database administrator is a person or it is a team who is responsible for the efficient performance of database system, who is responsible to control and manage the database system, then what are the functions this DBA perform? So the first main function of DBA is schema definition. We already know schema is nothing but a model of database system. It is a skeleton of database system, structure of database system. The schema definition means DBA is responsible to create original database schema by using DDL command. Means DBA uses data definition language command to create a database system. The database system skeleton is defined by database administrator. The next function of database administrator is storage structure and access method definition. So this database administrator is used to manage memory. The database administrator manages the use of memory space so that free disk space will be available to perform number of other operations. So this is another function of database administrator. The next function is schema and physical organization modification. To adopt the changing needs of organizations or users, DBA changes schema and physical structure of database to improve performance. See, whenever we use any database system or whenever we launch any database system, any software, then we need to update that system, we need to update that software by taking the feedback of end users or by taking the feedback of our target audience, so that we can cope up with the changing needs of society. So it is the task of database administrator to change the physical organization, to change the structure of database as per requirement of users, as per requirement of target audience, so that database system will be the durable database system, means the database system will last for long time. The next is granting of authorization for data access. We already studied data control language command, that is grant and revoke. So these two commands or the data control language is used to manage the authorization of user. By using these commands, we can give authority to user to access the database system. So it is the task of database administrator to manage all these authorizations. Database administrator decides which user has access to database system for users. Okay, so it is up to database administrator to manage all these security constraints. Then next is implement backup and recovery mechanism. As we know, in database management system, we can easily backup data into some place, and in case of crash condition, we can recover that data so that there will be no any data loss. So it is a responsibility of database administrator to take periodic backup of system so that there will be no data loss in case of system failure, and if in case system fails, then database administrators recover that data from the backup. The next task of database administrator is performance tuning. Now, what is meant by performance tuning? As we know, the number of users can access data simultaneously. Number of processes can access data simultaneously in a computer system. Okay, so when number of processes accesses same database at the same time, then it is the task of database administrator to manage all these processes, to manage heavy transaction in a system, so that there will not be any load on the performance of system. Even after multiple transactions, the system will be in a consistent state. The system will be in a better performance condition. So to ensure this performance, to ensure efficient performance of system, database administrator manages the multiple accesses of database. Then next is migrate database servers. So this is one of the important tasks of database administrator. As we know, there are different database tools available to work with the database system. Some users may use SQL, some users may use MySQL, some may use PostgreSQL. So number of database tools are there available to work with the database system. Suppose one user is using MySQL, and after some time, if that user want to switch from one SQL server to another SQL tool, then it is the task of database administrator to facilitate this transaction, to facilitate this switching. Whenever we want to switch from one SQL server to another SQL server, then there may be a change of syntax, there may be a change of storage structure, but database administrator must ensure that even after switching from one server to another server, there will not be any effect, any bad effect on the performance of your database system. That is called as migration of database server, switching from one server to another server, switching from one database tool to another database tool. Then next and most important function of database administrator is proper documentation. Whenever we perform any practical task, it is always necessary to prepare a documentation of that practical task, because whenever we switch from one position to another position, whenever we switch from one job to another job, then another users, means other team, can understand the practical uses of our system. So whatever function database administrator performs for one system, the DBA must do the proper documentation of the overall practical performance of that system, so that whenever one DBA hand over the tasks to another DBA, that new DBA will come to know the practical performance, the overall structure of system properly. Okay, so these are some of the functions of database administrator. By performing all these functions, database administrator manages database system successfully. Now let's see what is data modeling and what are the data models in database management system. Data modeling is nothing but creating a logical structure of database. Means before implementing physical structure, before developing actual database, first we need to create one logical structure of that database. Means which type of information we want to store into the database, what are the target audiences of database, what may be the input data that we want to store into the database. So we need to think about all these things. So before actual implementation of database, we need to do lot of work behind to create a logical model. So that logical model is nothing but a data model, and this data model is used to represent the actual database. Data models are independent of hardware and software. It means that we just create a logical structure. We don't implement data model means we don't think about hardware or software while creating data model. We just create it logically. Okay, and whatever data structures we want to use in a database system, all those data structures are represented graphically in data model. थांब ना बेटा, घेणा करू नको रुही तुम्हाला. मी काय ते काम करते बेटा, 2 मिनिट फक्त. झोप इथे माझ्या इथे, ये झोप. चुप. Now let's study about data models. Data model Data modeling is nothing but a creation of logical structure before implementing database system physically. Means before implementing any database system, first we need to gather information about that database system. Means what type of data we want to store, what are our target audience, what type of operations we are going to do on that particular database management system. So we as a developer need to think about all these facts. So data modeling is about creating a logical structure of physical implementation. So data model is what? It is a logical representation, and this logical representation is independent of hardware and software. Means while creating logical representation of any database, we don't need to think about hardware and software to be used. We just need to think about the operations of a database and the purpose of that database management system. Then by using database data models, we can graphically represent the complex data structures that we are going to use while creating any database. So it is a graphical representation of complex data structure. And by using this data model, database designers, application programmers, and end user can interact easily with each other. Means it is nothing but a interaction tool between database designer, application programmers, and end users. Then in data model, we can organize data as per user view. Means we can create a data model, we can organize our data structures as per user requirement. So these are some of the key concepts for data modeling, which is used to create graphical representation of database before physical implementation. So we have different types of data models here: file-based data model, hierarchical data model, network model, relational model, entity relationship model, object-oriented model, and object relational model. So these are some of the data models by using which we can create a graphical representation of actual database. So we have already studied about file-based data model. File-based data model is nothing but a model in which we organize data in terms of operating system files. Okay, so now here first we'll start with the hierarchical type of data model. As we know, hierarchy means it is a tree-like structure. In hierarchical data model, data is organized into a tree-like structure, means by using a parent and child relationship. Okay, so whatever data we store in a hierarchical data model, all those data are nothing but a collection of field, and these all data items are connected to each other by using links. Here, as you can see in a diagram, college is a root node, means it is a parent node, and departments, office, library, principal, these are the children node of this root node. So here we have implemented parent and child relationship by using hierarchical data model. And whenever we want to access data in a hierarchical data model, then we need to start from the root node always. Okay, means if you want to access data for department, then you need to start from college, that is from the root node. Now when we say in hierarchical data model there is a parent and child relationship, it means that one parent is there, and that one parent may have one or more than one leaf node or more than one children. Okay, means whatever attributes are there for parent node, some of them can be inherited by the leaf node. Means some attributes may be common in both parent and child. That's why it is called as a hierarchical relationship. Means whatever attribute we use to represent college node, some of them can be used to represent departments, office, library, and principal. That's why it is called as a parent and child relationship. So here This is a hierarchical data model where college is a root node. It is a parent node for department, office, library, and principal. And when we talk about department, in department we can create two separate record, one record for staff and second record for students. So this staff and students, these two are nothing but the children of department. Means department is the parent of these two. Similarly for office, in office we can store information about staff. So staff is the child of office node. In library also staff is the child of library node. So this is how hierarchical database system can be maintained. Okay, so when we talk about a family tree, then that family tree is nothing but a hierarchical data structure. Okay, where we show the parent and child relationship in family tree. So let's see what are the uses of hierarchical data structure. This hierarchical data structure was mainly used in the age of mainframe computers. So in that era, this hierarchical data structure was mostly in used. Okay, and it is used to store file system and geographical information. Whenever we on our computer system, whenever we open any drive, in that drive we can see different folders, and when we open any folders, in that folder also we can see different folder, we can see different files. So this is what, this is nothing but a hierarchy of files. So this file hierarchy can be maintained or can be stored by using hierarchical data model. Whenever we want to maintain parent-child relationship, then also we can use this hierarchical database model. It is also used in telecommunication and banking sector to store information about customers, their telephone connections, their in banking sector it is used to store information about customers, their transactions, their their loans, their saving accounts. So in this type, this hierarchical data model can be used in telecommunication and banking. In the Windows registry system also it is used to store information about operating system files. So these are some of the uses of hierarchical data model. Now let's see what are the advantages of this model. By using hierarchical data model, we can efficiently represent one-to-many relationship. Now, what is meant by one-to-many relationship? It means that there is a one parent which may have one or more than one children. So that is called as one-to-many relationship. And here, as all records are connected to each other by using links, so whenever you want to retrieve data, whenever you want to access data from the system, then by using those links, you can easily access data. Then when we say it is used to maintain parent and child relationship, so whatever change you made in your parent table, they all will automatically get updated into a child table. Means suppose one parent table is there and another child table is there, some of the common attributes are there in both the table so that we can have a link. So when you change the data in parent table, that changes will automatically get reflected into the child table. We don't need to do all those changes manually in a child table. So that is the advantage. Then in hierarchical data model, we can have data sharing in terms of parent and child relationships. Then whatever data stored in a parent will get automatically reflected into the child. So that is the data sharing. Now let's see the disadvantage of hierarchical data model. In hierarchical data model, as we already seen, it is used to represent one-to-many relationship. But many-to-many, many-to-one, these type of complex relationships cannot be represented by using hierarchical data model. Okay. Then whenever we change structure of database system, in that case we need to change the application programs also. In hierarchical data model, application programs are those programs by using which we access data from database system. Okay, and these application programs are mostly written in a high level language. So when we are using a hierarchical data model, and if we change the structure of database system, then we need to change that code of application program also. Okay, and Here all records are connected to each other through links. So whenever we want to navigate through the system, whenever we want to move through the system, then we need to know the hierarchical path. Means hierarchical path means we need to know which is the root node, which is the parent node, and what are the child node for that particular parent. So it is required to have the knowledge of hierarchical path while navigating through hierarchical database. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of hierarchical data system. Now next type of data model is network model. This network model is an extension of hierarchical model, and here in network model data is represented in a graph like structure. Means in a graph we represent data. Okay, and in hierarchical data model one child can have only one parent. Okay, means one parent can have one or more than one child, but one child can have a single parent only. But here in network model there is no such a restriction. It means that in network model one child may have more than one parent. Okay, and here also network model data records are connected to each other by using links. Okay, so this diagram is the example of data model. Here two customers are there, and both customers are having account. So customer 1 is having main account and customer 1 is also having loan account, but this loan account is shared with customer 2 also. So when we talk about customer 1, it is a parent for main account and loan account. Okay, customer 2 is a parent for loan account. So main account is the children of customer 1 and loan account is the children of customer 1 and customer 2. So here how we can show many to one relationship, which is not possible in hierarchical data model. Okay, so this is how network model can be represented. Then next, say what are the advantages of network model. Network model, as it is a graph like structure, it is easy to conceptually it is easy to implement. Then it can be used to represent many to one relationship types, which are not possible to represent in hierarchical data model. Then data access is flexible, since there are number of links and we can show many to many and many to one relationship. There is no need to follow a fixed path as they are in a hierarchical data model. In a hierarchical data model, we need to follow a fixed path while accessing data. But in network model, this is not the case. We can access data by using any of the path. Then here in network model, it include data definition language and data manipulation language. Now let's see what are the disadvantages of network model. In network model, as we know, we can see complex show complex relationship, but the navigation is not that efficient as compared to hierarchical model. Okay, because of complex relationship, because of number of link, navigation is somewhat inefficient. Then whenever we made any change in the structure, we need to change the application program also, same as that of hierarchical data model. Now next data model is relational data model. In relational data model, it was proposed by E.F. Codd in 1970, which is used to represent data in the form of relations or tables. Okay, and this table is what? This table is nothing but a set of rows and columns. See here, you can see two tables. Student table is there and employee table is there. In this student table, 3 columns are there: roll number, name and percentage, and 4 rows. In employee table also 3 columns and 4 rows are given. So this is called as relational data model, representation of data in terms of table. Okay. Next we have relational schema. Schema is what? Schema is nothing but a structure of relation. Okay. So here you can see under this student table, relational schema is given. See, relational schema is written like this: student, that is the name of table, and in bracket you need to enlist all the attributes. So this is relational schema for student table. Here for employee table you can see relational schema. Whenever you want to write a relational schema for any table, you first write down the name of table and then in bracket enlist all attribute for that table. Okay, so this is how relational model looks like. Now let's see some of the basic concepts of relational model. First is relational instance. You already know the definition of instance. Instance or relational instance is nothing but the value present in a relation at a particular moment is called as relational instance. Okay, so whatever value we store in a database system, when we access that value at any moment, then the values we get is called as a instance at that time. Okay, then next is attribute. Attribute is nothing but a property of any person. Okay, now when we say it is a property of entity, when we say we are going to create a table for student, so for student table, what are the properties? Roll number, name, percentage, class, college. These are the properties of student, because by using each of these attribute we can identify individual student, so that's why they are called as attribute. Okay, then next is domain of an attribute. Domain are nothing but the possible values attribute can take in a relation. Okay, now what is mean by possible values? It means that when we want to store percentage of a student, okay, now the restriction for percentage is that percentage should not be less than 0 and it should not be greater than 100. Okay, so 0 to 100 is the permissible set of values for percentage attribute. That's why it is called as a domain of an attribute. Okay, then next is tuple. Tuple is nothing but a row of relation. Each row of relation is called as a tuple. Then null values. Values for some attribute or some tuples may be unknown, missing or undefined, then they are represented by null value. Means whenever we create any table structure and when we insert value into the table, but sometimes we don't know the value of any of the attributes, in that case we can insert null keyword there. Null represent unknown, missing or undefined value. Then next is degree or arity of a table. Number of attribute in a relation is called as a degree of a relation. And now we have seen student table and employee table. In those table, in student table we have 3 attribute. In employee table also we have 3 attribute. So the arity or the degree of both the attributes are 3. Then cardinality. Cardinality is nothing but a number of tuples in a relation. Okay, in student relation we have 4 tuples. That's why cardinality is 4. So these are some of the basic concepts of relational model that everyone must know before studying this model. The next important concept is Court's RDBMS rules. Okay, so EF Court, which has invented this relational model, was proposed 12 Court rules. Okay, and whenever we want our system to be a relational database system, that system must follow all these 12 rules. Then only we can consider that system as a relational database system. So rule 0 or foundation rule is that for any system that is claimed to be a relational database management system must be able to manage databases entirely through the relational capabilities. Means whenever we say that any system is a relational system, then that system must have all the capabilities of relational model. Then rule 1 is information rule. Data stored in a relational model must be a value of some cell of a table. Whatever data we store in a database system, that data must be a part of any of the tables. Okay, we cannot store any random value, we cannot store any unrelated value into the database. All values must be a part of table. Then rule 2 is guaranteed access rule. It means that whenever we want to access data from the database system, data must be accessible by table name, primary key and name of the attribute. Okay, means suppose student table is there. If you want to access data from the table, then you can use table name to access data. You can use any attribute name like roll number, name or percentage to access data. This is called as guaranteed access rule. Then rule 3 is systematic treatment of null values. As we know, null is used to represent missing value, unknown value or not applicable value. Okay, so whenever we don't know the value of any attribute, whenever any value is not applicable for the attribute, in that case only we should use null value. We should not use null value unnecessary, because our system manipulates null value also. Okay, so before using null value, we should be careful that the value must be missing, unknown or not applicable. Then rule 4 is active online catalog. It means that the structure of database must be stored in an online catalog which can be queried by authorized user. Whenever authorized users means the users who has permission to access database system. Whenever that user want to access data or want to access the structure of database system, the structure must be accessible to user, and for this we need to store this structure in an online catalog. Then rule 5 is comprehensive data sublanguage rule. Okay, the database should be accessible by language supported for definition, manipulation and transaction management operation. Means whenever we store data into database system and we want to access data from database system, then we must be able to use DDL, DML and DCL language to perform all these operations. Means your system must support all these three languages for efficient interaction with the database system. Then rule 6 is view updating rule. As we know, view is what? It is a upper level of data abstraction by using which user can interact with the database system, and at this upper level we can have different views of database as per user requirement. So whenever we modify the structure of database system, the structure of that view must get modified automatically. Okay, that is view updating rule. Then rule 7 is high level insert, update and delete rule. Okay, it means that your relational model must support insert, delete and update operations at each level of relation. Means user must be able to perform all the operations on database system, and also your system must support set operations like union, intersection and minus. In short, this rule 7 states that your relational model system must be able to carry out all the operations on database. Then rule 8 is physical data independence. Physical data independence means whenever we modify the physical location of a table, if we change the location of table, then there should not be any effect on application level. Means suppose now your database is stored in one drive, stored in a OneDrive, and if you are changing the location from that drive to another drive, means you are changing the physical location of your database system, but even after changing this location, there should not be any effect on a application program. Then next is logical data independence. Okay, logical data independence means whenever you modify the logical structure of database or whenever you modify the structure of table, then there should not be any effect on application level. Okay, data independence is mainly used to ensure that we don't need to change the application program if there is a change in physical location or if there is a change in logical structure. Then rule 10 is integrity independence. Integrity constraint modified at database level should not enforce modification at application level. See, integrity stands for correctness of data. Okay, means it is used to ensure that whatever value we store in a database system, all are correct and all satisfy the conditions of database system. Okay, so this is called as integrity. So whatever integrity constraint, whatever integrity rule we apply for database system, if we change that rule, if we modify those rules, then there should not be any effect on application level. Then rule 11 is distribution independence. Distribution independence means even if we store our database on different server, on different machines, there that distribution should not be visible to end user. Okay, so this is called as distribution independence. Means if you store your data on multiple machines, still your user must be able to access that data efficiently without delay. Then rule 12 is non-subversion rule. Non-subversion rule means low-level access to data should not be able to bypass integrity rule to change the data. It means that whenever any user want to access database or the low-level structure of database, then that user must follow all the integrity rule. Without following that integrity rule, no user should be able to access the database. This is called as non-subversion rule. So this is all about 12 core rules. In today's session, we have studied what are different database users, what are the responsibilities or roles of database administrator, what are different data models. Then we have studied about hierarchical model, network data model, relational data model, and 12 core rules of relational database management system. Thank you.